week later they crossed the River Drell into Tortal on a ferry boat. Watching the Gallan shore pull away, Dane searched her soul. I should tell Anna all the truth, she thought. By then she had given her friend the less painful details of her life, and had come to see Anna was right. It felt better to talk. I should tell the rest, but won't she turn on me, like they did? Maybe it's best to keep shut. The madness, the scandal, it's all back there. Maybe that's where it should stay. She went forward to look at Tortal as it moved closer. I could start fresh. It can't be any worse than home, with folk calling me bastard and scorning me. Nobody here knows I've no father, and they don't know about the other thing. The bad thing. They don't need to know. You worry too much. Onawa ruffled the girl's hair. It'll work out. You'll see. Cloud butted Dane's shoulder. Tahoe pawed her leg. Their concern and Onawa's gave her comfort. I'll manage, she told herself as the ferry bumped the landing dock on the Tortalan shore. Silence is best. The country beyond the crossing was a mixture of hills and wide valleys, some of it farmed and grazed, but most left to the woods. Towns here were back from the road, and traffic this early in the spring was thin. There was little to keep them from their usual routine of camp and march, riding the ponies, hunting for game birds, or fishing for their supper. The third day from the river brought rain, slowing them and the animals down before the sky cleared at day's end. Both women were up late, getting mud out of shaggy coats and off their own skins and clothes. It was the first time on that trip that no animal crawled in with Dane overnight. She slept badly, flipping back and forth, never quite waking or sleeping. Her dreams were thin and worrisome. She remembered only one. The badger was in his lair, neatening up. There you are. I'm glad to see the claw works so well. Excuse me, sir, she began. No questions. Kids must listen, not ask. Pay attention. He squinted at her to make sure she was listening. If you look hard and long, you can find us. If you listen hard and long, you can hear any of us, call any of us that you want. Rolling onto his back, he added, The madness was to teach you something. You should mind the lesson. She woke a little before dawn. The sky was gray and damp, the air sour. Anawa. When the woman only stirred and muttered, she went over and shook her. I think trouble's coming. Last time I felt this way, a rabid bear came out of the woods and killed the blacksmith. A rabid bear? The Khmer yanked on her clothes, and Dane followed suit. Goddess, how many of those do you see in a lifetime? One's more than enough. She rolled up her bed and fixed it to her pack. The animals were restless and ill-tempered. Tahoe paced the camp, his hackles up. He stopped often to look down the road, only to resume pacing. Maybe it's another storm, Onawa suggested over breakfast. I don't think so. Dane gave her barely touched porridge to Cloud. My head aches. Not aches, exactly. It's itchy. She sniffed the breeze, but picked up only the scent of water and plants. The wind's not right, either. Onawa looked at her thoughtfully, then doused the fire. Let's go. She hitched the ponies to lead reins while Dane secured the packs. There's a reef on the other side of this next valley, near a marsh. If need be, we'll ask for shelter. I'd prefer not to. She strung her curved bow. Lord Cynthia doesn't like the Queen. He loathes the riders. Still, we can wait a storm out in his barns, particularly if no one tells him we're there. If we're caught in the marsh, we're in trouble. I don't have any marshcraft. Dane warmed her longbow and strung it. The quiver's weight on her back made her feel better as they took the road. Past the next ridge she saw a wide, shallow valley filled with reeds and water, with nowhere to hide. By the time they reached the center of the green expanse, the hair was standing straight out on the back of her neck. Where are the frogs and the birds? She wondered when they stopped for a breather. I don't even see dragonflies. Something made her glance at the wood that bordered the far edge of the marsh. Ottawa! She pointed as a bird shot from the cover of the trees. It was black and hawk-shaped, flying crazily as if drunk. Shrieks, metallic and shrill, tore the air. 8 giant things, they looked like birds at first, chased the hawk out of the cover of the trees. Immense wings beat the air that reached the women and ponies, filling their noses with a stink so foul it made Dane retch. The ponies screamed in panic. Dane tried to soothe them, though she wanted to scream too. These were monsters. No animal combined a human head and chest with a bird's legs and wings. Sunlight bounded off talons and feathers that shone like steel. She counted 5 males, 3 females. One female wore a crown of black glass. Onawa gave a two-fingered whistle that could be heard the length of the valley. When the monsters turned to find the source of the noise, their quarry dropped into the cover of the reeds and vanished. The monsters swept the area over and over, trying to find the Black Hawk without success. "Look at them," Onawa whispered. "They use a grid pattern to search by. They're working that part of the Martian squares. They're intelligent." "And they can't land easy on level ground," Dane pointed out. "Those claws aren't meant to flatten out. They have to fly. They can't walk." When the creatures gave up, they turned on the women. Dane watched them come, her bow, like Onawa's, ready to fire. The attackers were smeared with filth. When they spoke or smiled, she saw razor-sharp teeth caked with what she knew was old blood. Halting over the road, they fanned their wings to stay aloft. Their smell was suffocating. "We almost had the motherless spy," one of them snarled. "But you had to interfere," another said. "Never interfere with us." It lifted its wings above its head and stooped. The others followed. "Dane, fire!" Onawa shot. Her arrow struck the first, hitting a wing with a sound of metal on metal, and bounced off. Dane struck a man-thing square in the throat. He dropped with a cry that brought sweat to her face. Onawa and Dane fired steadily, aiming for the flesh of heads and chests. A female almost grabbed Dane by the hair before Onawa killed her. Cloud got one by a leg, and Tahoe seized its other foot. Together, pony and dog tore the monster apart. Birds, herons, bitterns, plovers, larks, rose from hiding places to fight the creatures, blinding some, pecking others, clogging the air so the enemy couldn't see. Many paid for their help with their lives. The glass-crowned one was finally the only monster alive. She hovered just out of Onawa's range. One of the Khmer's arrows lodged in her shoulder. "Pink pigs!" she snarled. "How dare you defy me, maggots! You filth!" "Look who's talking!" Dane shouted, sliding an arrow onto her string. She lowered her bow, wanting the creature to think she was done. "Your ma was a leech with bad teeth," she taunted. Onawa laughed in spite of herself. "Your da was a peahen. I know chickens with more brains than you." The queen screamed and dropped, claws extended. Dane brought the bow up, loosing as she reached the best point in her swing. Her arrow buried itself in the queen's eye as Onawa cheered. Dane had another arrow on the string and in the air, but the queen pulled away. Blood dripped from her ruined eye. If she felt pain, she ignored it, hovering well out of bowshot, her good eye furious. "Oh, I'll remember you, girlie." The hate in her voice forced Dane back a step. "Your name on my heart." She looked at Onawa. "I'll return for you two groundwalkers. You belong to Zane and Bitterclaws now." She launched herself into higher air and was gone. "I can't believe it." Onawa sounded as if she was talking to herself. "The rumors said there were monsters abroad, but these? Where did they come from?" She went to examine the body of one of the creatures, the stink so bad she had to cover her nose to get close to it. Limping, Dane followed. She was unhurt, but she felt battered and cut and torn in 1,000 places. A chickadee lay in the road. She picked it up to find a wing was attached by only a bit of skin. Tears rolled down her cheeks to fall on the dying bird. All around her, birds lay in the rushes, bleeding, dead. "I'm sorry, little ones," she whispered. "You should have stayed hid." Her temples pounded. Stripes of black and yellow fire crossed her vision. Her ears filled with a roaring sound, and she fainted.